I'm gonna be real, Denshattack, one of the best games of the year, and should 100% be considered for Game of the Year. Now you might be saying, that's insane. This guy's insane. Counterpoint, I just jumped the train off a ramp and spun it midair to knock the giant mechanical rocket fist fired by a Gyaro gang leader who combined all their trains into a giant mechanical magical girl, then landed on said rocket fist and flew through a post-apocalyptic city to punch her in the face. So your point's invalid. But also, did you see what I just did? That was totally awesome. And that was just the first boss fight. It escalates from there. Like, you owe it to yourself to play this game just to see how some of the absolutely insane shit you can do. It is boundless creativity with gameplay that is fresh and unlike anything else, and it walks with an unending confidence that is unabashedly afraid to put everything on the table, weirdness and all, and just be itself. It's not trying to cast the widest net to get the biggest audience, it just is what it is, and it is for a specific niche group, and if you're in that group, god damn is it good. The game starts with the narrator explaining how everyone lives in these dome cities now after a climate collapse, and then literally says, who cares, and bam, throws you right into our main character Emmy, who's already jumping her train off ramps to deliver ramen. She's then introduced to a sport called Denshattack, and immediately picks it up, and her kick-flipping, physics-defying train adventures to defeat all the gangs in Denshattack begins. And this is what I mean when I said the game has this confidence to it. Less than a minute in and it's already throwing you right into the action. Immediately doing tricks, dodging obstacles, going off jumps, and driving through exploding volcanoes. Look, I love my games with deep lore and a nuanced story to discuss and analyze, but sometimes it's good to have a game that's just good old arcadey fun. It frees them up to do ridiculous things like surfing a cruise ship or riding a Ferris wheel. This game had an insane amount of moments like those in every level that just had me smiling ear to ear constantly, even as I repeatedly hit the reset button to better my score. And I mean, who needs story really? Well, actually, there is a story, and despite the game's rapid pace, it kind of slowly unravels its narrative to you through blink and you'll miss it moments. These are usually passed off as missions to impress the leader of that area's gang, but it soon stitches together a world ruled by a controlling corporation and the literal outsiders living beyond the dome cities just trying to exist. Like one level you're told about an art project being taken down by the government for being too rebellious and you have to fix it, or to mess with a factory polluting the surrounding area. The game's got its fair share of sort of pop-punk aesthetic and it lives this through its story too, and this, well, subtle is a word this game prefers to obliterate, but the way it drip feeds its world building to you through environmental and mission design means the game never has to take its foot off the pedal, and it feels natural. These characters don't need to stop to explain the world that our character has lived in their whole lives. They bring up some of the awful stuff going on in casual conversation because it's casual, it's normal to them. But of course the game's main draw is that addicting arcadey gameplay. This is one of those games where you're seeking perfection in every move to increase your score just a bit over the last time. The gameplay is basically, well, I guess it's technically a platformer. If I had to put it in a box, it's a platformer. But I have a feeling if I tried to put this game in a box, it would try to kickflip its way out and then slam down to a manual to destroy the box. It's almost like if you combined a platformer with the style and combos of a character action game like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Most levels are linear, literally on rails, and serve as obstacle courses to get through, as you do as many impressive tricks as you can anytime you can catch some air. With a trick system that is deceptively simple, it's all mapped to the right analog stick, and holy crap, there's a lot of combos. Not only are there a lot of combos, they start getting into fighting game levels of complexity where you're doing like an up-down into a quarter circle, half-turn, pirouette, arabesque, A-B start just to do a trick. And they're all cool, unique tricks too, often with flashy, colorful speed lines that emphasize how your train is defying the laws of physics. Seriously, I have a theory that all the electricity in this universe comes from Isaac Newton spinning in his grave. You can of course string these moves together, especially on bigger jumps, or landing with a manual to extend your multiplier. And if you do it right, you can get hundreds of thousands or even millions of points, but it's risky because if you crash, you lose all of it, leading to some heartbreaking resets. And more complicated moves as well as switching things up often results in a better score, but the sheer dizzying amounts of combos means you can flick your stick as arduously as you want, and you're bound to stumble onto some cool trick or combo. And that's not even including all the things like the obstacles on the tracks you have to avoid, like switching rails or driving along the walls. I felt like I could really express myself openly very early on with all the combos in the game, and it's constantly giving you new, truly impactful, unique mechanics with each new area to keep things fresh. One area you learn to switch tracks, the next you learn to leave the track entirely, and before you know it you're defying gravity. Well, more so than normal. And it paces all this out so well. Yeah, it technically has to teach you these new things every time, but it's always quick, with only one level to tutorialize it before throwing you right into the fire. And if it gave you everything all at once, it would be way overwhelming, but it gives you just enough time to work each mechanic into muscle memory before throwing in something else. It never leaves a mechanic behind, it's just used to build on the game's complexity. Once you learn how to leave the track, that becomes a core mechanic with everything else you've learned up to that point, so now you have to use it alongside all those other mechanics. So you're always getting that hit of learning something new while getting the satisfaction of mastering something else, then the added fun of seamlessly mixing it all together to create some truly remarkably complex levels that you fully understand and just can't wait to get in there and master. Making the gameplay enormously deep, I cannot wait to see what really skilled players can do here, or even speedrunners, but also very accessible. Like I said, you can just flick the stick and you'll do something cool. It just doesn't take much to look cool in this game, but mastering it and getting that gold medal takes work. Every level is graded on 3 things: speed, a set of challenges unique to that level, and of course, your score, which is entirely based on your tricks. And some of those challenges were pretty difficult. It's hard enough to get through a level without crashing and finding all the collectibles, doing a certain trick at a certain point, or having to string together a 5-trick combo at a specific jump while looking for a hidden exit, often requiring multiple attempts or a lot of restarts. And if you want that gold medal on the level, you gotta get gold in all 3 categories. Otherwise, you just have a filthy silver or worse, bronze, staring at you on the map, mocking you, looking you in the eye and reminding you of your failure, to get you crawling back time and time again to chase a better score. And I did, and loved every minute of it. And I especially always went out of my way to find the hidden paths, because they always unlocked an onsen, and no, I didn't like them for the obvious reason, but because it gave us some time to talk with the characters, giving us a little more insight into their past. Along with collectibles that unlock parts of this magazine one of our companions is writing, detailing the different gangs and their histories. And Emmy, our main character, has this infectious, bottomless well of energy and optimism for the sport that she just learned about, that helped make me want to improve, want to go back into every level to improve my score, to try again and again and again, to get just a little bit better each time. She's like the embodiment of a main character from a sports anime that encourages their team to get better and love the sport even more. It's easy to understand why all these characters decide to join her on her adventures despite just meeting her. And our cast of colorful misfits are all too willing to take shots at the powers that be after being inspired by Emmy, of course, especially if they can have some fun doing it along the way. It's like optimistic rebelling. It's not trying to tell a story about the struggles and realities of fighting back, but instead to inspire action, and that those actions can and will make a difference, and that's better to fight back with optimism. And all the characters have this very non-conformity to them. They're all misfits, they all come from different niche subcultures like gyarus, delinquents, and weebs. But they all form a family together. I love that. I love that it almost celebrates these subcultures, showing how they can bring people together, how they protect and support each other. It's even established early on that it's these weird gangs that are creating and fostering a community with their respective territories. My favorite example of that is the gang of aging rockabillys, some of which have kids and grandkids of their own. They help transport people around town and fix up trains. But they all still rock the leather jackets and big hair, just with an addition of a bald spot here and there. Gotta change with the times. Like all good sports anime, it made me want to try out the sport. Although the Denshattack scene in my area seems woefully small, and I've yet to find anyone that'll let me try to kickflip their train. But I'll keep looking and let you know if I find anyone. Although there is more to Denshattack than just doing tricks through obstacle courses, there's a surprising amount of variety in level design. There's also races against other Denshattackers, and these more open levels where you have multiple objectives you can do in any order. Turns out the On Rails train game has more freedom than some other games. Most levels are the point A to B obstacle course, though that's their bread and butter, and honestly, those tend to be the best levels. But I appreciate the mission variety because it keeps things fresh, and they're used sparingly so that they never outstay their welcome and always feel like a breath of fresh air. And I can't praise the boss fights enough. They're all incredibly creative, over the top, and dumb in the most fun ways possible. They're perfect at not only showing off everything you've learned up to that point, but also show off that character's personality in such a bombastic way that I'll never forget them. Everything in this game is over the top, even the art style. You know it's going to be a happier, more energetic time with the bright yellow focused palette. You know it's going to be more over the top because of its stylized anime inspired art style. The graphics aren't good because of the amount of fine detail packed into every little pixel or the expertly placed shadows, but because it expertly conveys the tone and emotion it's trying to get from you, and it does it with bombast and style. It immediately sells the absurdity of this world. If it were more realistic or overly detailed, the kick-flipping trains would feel out of place. Instead, it fits right in, and the art style primes you for it. And by the end of it, the story is still insane, but deals with surprisingly relevant topics. It ends up being about an AI that controls not by the barrel of a gun, but people slowly giving up control of everything to it until it sucks the soul out of everything. We eventually learn that the mascot of Moraido, the company behind the Dome Cities, is just an AI that was probably meant to help humanity after the climate collapse. But of course it's a machine and didn't totally understand its own purpose, instead more or less imprisoning most of the population in those domes. Conveniently leaving out that outside the domes was perfectly livable and spread lies that those who were outside the domes were dangerous or even mutated. More importantly, it really hates Denshattack, the worst sin of all. It's hard not to draw parallels to real-world AI with how it often spreads hate and just straight-up psychosis sometimes, or how algorithms can trap us in our own bubbles, like and subscribe, only letting us out to hate and fight other groups. It's like Denshattack doesn't have a particularly deep story because I don't think it's trying to say it's a particularly deep topic. Instead, it's an inspiring tale about unifying and galvanizing a bunch of quote-unquote outsiders to fight back against an oppressive and controlling evil, and my god is it a fun one. It doesn't tell you you have to fight or that you need to, but it makes you want to. It motivates you, lighting that fire under your ass just like Emmy did through Denshattack. This game is just a blast to play front to back, filled with memorable characters and even more memorable and addicting gameplay loop that had me coming back time and time again until I got that high score. It is the most fun I've had with a video game all year and deserves a spot on every Game of the Year list.